I could try to make a joke, but all the jokes I can think of are racially insensitive. This is In Defense of Bad Movies. Hello, humans! Sam here with another In Defense of Bad Movies episodes. By the way, guys, I just want you to know... Well, first, hello, Loren.
Hi.
Bobby.
Hello.
Thanks again for doing the thing that we do all the time.
Yeah.
I'm working...
Kissing and holding hands?
Yeah, exactly. I'm working on I want to have a new intro and sign-off. And hello, humans is my first... What do you guys think of this one so far?
It is accurate. You were saying hello, and we are.
It's sort of a catch-all. I don't want to leave anyone out.
Are we human or
are we dancing? Oh shoot! I didn't think about that.
It's insensitive to animals that are listening.
Because we are, and we are also dancing.
Oh shoot!
Ted Danson's listening.
I'll do another one.
Cool.
Okay, I'll do another one different next time then. So, hello humans, right out. Okay. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We have somebody else in the room as well. Somebody that we mentioned in the mini-sode, so it's really not a big surprise, except for all the people who don't listen to the mini-sodes, which are most people. Actually, most people don't listen to the podcast at all. So,
the vast majority. Yeah.
Anyway, let's just continue the episode as though that special guest weren't in the room and that we didn't talk. What? Yeah, we're joined again by Laura King.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey.
I'm convinced that you missed doing the podcast, and that's why you're like.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back because I wanted to prove Loren wrong that My Best Friend's Wedding is wonderful in any language. Whatever you watch it in.
Let's see how that goes.
Can I make a confession? I have not been able to say, when I've described this movie to people, I've not been able to say My Best Friend's Wedding. I always say My Best Friend's Greek Wedding. Like 80% of the time. Like when I've talked about it to my mom, I'm like, oh yeah, wait, there's a Chinese version of My Best Friend's Greek Wedding.
Oh. I thought you were just leaving it at that. Like you thought Greek was Chinese. You thought they were synonymous. And
no, it's because like they're rhythmically
my big
very
fat
similar.
Greek wedding. So we watched My Best Friend's Greek wedding, Chinese style. So if you heard that episode or if you've seen the first one, you know all the story beats. We don't need to do the...
Yes, this movie is My Best Friend's Wedding, but with Chinese actors in Chinese. And it is a very interesting translation of the movie.
It changes a lot.
It
let's be
does
fair. It's
change
not
a lot.
just...
Yeah, and also it's more current, for sure. I think this movie...
Yeah, they had smartphones instead of big, clunky, old school...
A Zach Morris phone that you pull the antenna up on.
Yeah, there's a dance number to song and dance number to Skrillex.
This movie is from 2016. So
yeah,
definitely.
I'm trying to think that through. Like, if there's anything that feels very contemporary, I don't know.
I think it feels more contemporary in terms of the roles of them and their relationship, which we're going to probably talk about later.
For sure.
I felt like that was like they kind of went and tweaked some things that were kind of awkward in the first one, or might be perceived as awkward and maybe dated from the first movie, so they kind of changed them around a little bit, like the relationship with each other, the friends.
I think they fixed some of the problems.
But then had other problems.
Yeah.
There's definitely like
problems.
one big problem that I'm having
so
this
curious.
movie. I like the movie a lot, but I did have couple of issues, and there's one in particular.
Now, you hadn't seen the movie when you suggested doing the movie and you'd come back for it? Is that correct?
No, it was Bobby, and Bobby said,
Bobby
asked, do you want to come back for it?
I needed a reason to watch the movie, and the only way to watch the movie was to buy the movie, and so I needed an excuse to buy the movie.
You had to trick some girl into watching it with you to make it feel like it was their idea. It was their idea. It's for a project. It's for class.
So,
boys don't watch rom-coms.
Can we
really
just,
don't.
before we get into the movie, can we just say that the
No. Mm-hmm.
the one who plays the main star, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm Guja.
Shuchi?
Yes, Suchi.
Tutu?
She is looks fantastic.
She's
for her
She's
age.
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
It's a
She
10.
is really gorgeous.
It is
How old
angry
is she?
making.
You said for her age?
She
looks
is-
no. She looks gorgeous. Full stop. I want to know what her
Yeah.
age was.
Yeah.
You're born 76?
Yeah.
She's your age.
Oh,
A month older.
I mean,
Wow.
I look amazing too.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
I feel like that
Yeah.
was a very stealth dig at Sam.
It really was.
It wasn't! No, I was just, okay.
You know what? Now that we mention it,
You're the same age as her. Oh my god, even better.
Wow.
I mean, it's awesome because, like, the Julia Roberts movie, she's supposed to be 28. This movie never talks about their age.
It doesn't say how old they're supposed to be, but I'm kind of want to track that down because the older he is, the more uncomfortable I am that he is marrying flighty little Cameron Diaz.
I feel like
Chinese Cameron Diaz.
she is supposed to be about 38 in this movie, right?
Is
like
that?
doesn't
they
that
have,
track with?
in one flashback, they reference that, like, oh, we're getting into our, like, we're nearly in our 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
So,
the-
like,
what
they're
they-
at least there.
Oh, nearly in her
Yeah.
face?
But we don't know
It was
how long ago
around-
that
I
flashback
remember.
was.
Yeah.
So they're somewhere in their 30s at least, which is cool.
Yeah.
But if she's nearly 40, that's,
The-
damn it, she's gorgeous.
Well, she's over 40.
The one who plays Nick is born in 88, so he is way younger than she.
Damn, I love that too.
Yeah.
If only it were more evident. If only the movie made a point to say, except that Nick, we will discover, is not a
Yeah.
viable breeding partner.
Yeah, Nick
But-
is, yeah, there's a lot of issues.
Not a viable breeding partner.
That's the callous way to talk about films and, like, the breeding pairs.
I see. What we were watching last night that I shouldn't put this on the podcast. I should edit this out. But we went to this 30-minute musical thing, and
Oh, it's so good.
and it was,
Come
and
on.
they did Die Hard. And in it, the Bonnie Bedelia character says, like, wait, hold on, I'm just taking this in because after the next one, I'm going to be aged out because it's like people
Because
don't.
we're appropriate ages to each other,
Yeah,
and that's not okay for Hollywood film.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny.
But we're skipping
Die
ahead
Hard's
to our
not that
plugs.
great
Yeah, yeah,
movie
yeah.
anyway.
Wow.
We all know that.
But if you saw it as a musical, you'd be sold.
Die Hard is a great movie.
Guys, Die Hard is a musical.
It's a Christmas movie. I know that. Hello, Ronnie. Ronnie is fuming. A regular listener. One of our regular listeners. So we've got the broad strokes of the movie. Let's talk. Let's get down to
So
it,
back
guys.
to the movie. This decrepit 40-year-old woman is...
I gotta say that they did a really good job of naming the characters right off. I knew right away that it was Lin Ran and editor.
Yeah. Yes.
I wonder. It's interesting because this film is definitely for the Chinese audience, and I wonder how much thought and care was put into translating it for English subtitles as like a more mainstream, like Chinese film coming to American audiences. Does that make sense? Like, I wonder if this was getting a wide release in American theaters, if like some of the dialogue and some of the naming would have been as clunky. Does that make sense?
I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Like, do you feel like they were named because they were having consideration for Western
Like, they're just going
audience?
for a very literal translation, you know? Then you
Yeah.
end up with her saying editor, editor, editor
Yeah.
all over the
Yeah.
place, where that feels really awkward to us. They're like, why does she keep calling her editor?
There's a lot in this movie that I do want to know, like, is this just a filmmaking choice, or would this be expanded on if I understood the cultural impact more?
Uh-huh.
Like, if there are points that would...
Yeah, and
Make
like,
more sense.
Specifically, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this more, the certain words like innocent and protect.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
if those have different connotations, like those direct words have different
Yeah.
connotation in Chinese than they do in American English, at least, where we're just like a little bit cringy.
It was a little
Yeah.
condescending, and
The way
yeah.
our Dermot Mulroney man is referring to his Cameron Diaz girl,
yeah.
who is far more delicate and girly than
Yeah.
even Cameron Diaz.
I'm going to call him, by the way, young Asian Peter Serafinowicz, because that's what he kind of looks like to me.
I can see that for sure. And then also the potential stigma on Gujia, because she is like strong, independent, professional woman, and maybe that would make her like culturally far more unapproachable and could explain part of why she is the way she is. Although I am very mad. One of the first things in the movie that. And I couldn't help but contrasting to the American version, obviously, but it was nice in the American version. We see first thing that Julia Roberts is good at her job, and that's kind of what she's put her life into. And we see that as well with Gojia. She's just being made editor-in-chief. She's going to Fashion Week.
She's an editor-in-chief in the fashion industry. What does that mean?
And And I'm assuming
Sorry.
she's like, she works for Chinese Vogue or something.
Maybe.
But she tosses it all in the air to run to London to go to her best friend's wedding that's in a week, and he's only telling her now, and I'm mad at him for that. But it felt like there should have been more impact on her leaving Fashion Week.
Hey,
and
she leaves things in the very capable hands of her barely capable assistant.
And it felt like that should have come back to bite her in the ass. And she, I wish that had more stakes there at least. Like, you're making such a huge mistake that we're mad at you.
We
And
see her running away from someone from Vogue at one point.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
Christian, what's his name? Louis Vuitton?
Christian Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, person who I nodded and went, I'm probably supposed to know who that is.
The name
This is a cameo that is lost on me.
but it was okay for him to see her. That was a little weird.
Louis Vuitton. Yeah.
Louis
Kristen, yeah.
Real person, right?
Yeah.
Because the name sounded familiar.
Yeah, it's a really...
Guys?
Yeah, see?
I've
He was
really
in the movie.
I've really got my ear to the ground as far as women's high heels are concerned.
there was a lot of fashion talk in this movie that I didn't need.
He's French, so of course.
Where?
Of course he's in Milan.
Of course he's in
Or no,
London.
he was in London.
He was in
right?
London.
That's right, yeah.
But I wish, like, that part of the storyline, like, and maybe that is something that culturally her career is important, so we don't even focus. But, like, it would have been nice if there would have been, like, you need to get your ass back here, else you're in trouble, and I don't know.
I mean, I get what you're saying about that, but then also I don't want to see that movie.
I don't want to see that one, but
It's the
they
movie
put
you
that,
wish you didn't see.
They put that in there as something, like, you are shirking your responsibilities, and this is surely going to have professional ramifications for you. Like, in the American version, she just took a break and left and went to the wedding. Yeah. And, to have this hanging there as something that could be very detrimental, like, it's a different movie, a better movie would have made the choice to do something with that.
Instead, she uses her connections. Yeah. Spoiler alert, the end of the movie.
On that, though, I think this movie, right off the bat, makes a harder argument for her and Lin Ron. And it establishes their relationship and their friendship better than the American one.
I like all the flashbacks.
The flashbacks are good.
It does show, not tell, opposed to Julia Roberts' very sweet monologue where she talks about what they've meant to each other.
Yeah.
But they've also never had a sexual relationship. They, harp on grew up together and so have just been friends forever. Yeah. And that's interesting. And she rejected him.
Yeah.
Which, that's huge.
That seems really nice.
Yeah, that's a really sweet scene.
It is, but at the
like
same time, she does not have a leg to stand on to go after him now.
No.
I'm definitely less on her side because she had her shot even more so.
Yeah.
But I think the journey, and I mean, we can argue about whether it's a good journey, but her journey in both this movie and in the other movie is realizing that she doesn't have a leg to stand on.
And that's
she has to give up whatever claim she thinks she has on her friend, which is none.
I'm less thrilled in this one that she doesn't have a plan. Like, she doesn't come necessarily dedicated to split up the wedding. Like, that sort of feels like what Julia Roberts intends to do, and she vacillates a little bit on it and then, like, takes bad steps to actually do it. I don't feel like Gujia knows what she wants to do. She shows up and she's just a straight up bitch to the fiancé and
she has
does nothing to ingratiate herself, but then at some point decides maybe I'll murder her. No, I won't murder her.
That was a really weird scene where it's like,
I mean, in her fantasy, she apparently thinks a peanut allergy is you get red eyes, and then you look ugly to your fiancé, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with you.
Can you believe this chick? She has a fucking peanut allergy. Gross. Ew.
Well, we all know that the Chinese hate weakness, and so
she has an amazing line to herself, like her own outward, like her own soliloquy. She what are we going to call her? Joie? The Cameron Diaz character in this one has a conversation with her fairly early on in the movie where she's trying to talk her into being Lin Ron's best man.
Yeah.
And then she leaves. And then when Guja's all by herself in the room, she goes, "Best man, I came here to be the bride." And I'm like... Okay.
Yeah. It's in a really reactive way, though. She just assumes the opportunities will come up, and they do. So,
and that scene as well. My biggest problem with this version is definitely the Cameron Diaz character, because in the American version, she's kind of cool. Like, she starts as you just think, like, oh, who's this tiny little feminine brat? But, like, there are many times in the movie where they give an opportunity to make you like her, or let you see her passion, or how much she wants this relationship to work, and you see that she's smart. Like, one of the first scenes is a real straight up to Julia Roberts of, like, you know, I know that you have this huge relationship, I can't possibly compete, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to, you know, be strong and confident in my relationship with him, and suck it in a nice way. And she feels savvy and strong in her femininity. And Schwa Schwa is just... Schwan Schwan is just giggly little, like... stereotypical, delicate.
Yeah.
I feel like she has no character, and it's so sad.
She's, we watch her and we're like, wow, she's a child.
Yeah.
You know?
And that whole scene of, like, I want you to be best man, like, that all just felt weird. Like, it's a surprise. Like, why would that ever be a surprise to... Like, why would you surprise your husband with that? And just,
It's interesting. I remember when we talked about the American version of My Best Friend's Greek Wedding. Dermot Mulroney kind of surfaced as the low-key villain of the movie because he's
a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he's the worst. He's terrible. And I think a lot of my problem with him in that movie, he has many, but is his relationship with Julia Roberts' character and how he just, you know, he kind of...
He strings her along.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah,
strings
he
her
does
along.
inappropriate things with her.
And it's interesting because my problem with Lin Ron in this movie is not his relationship with Guja, which I feel like he is fairly
honest.
Yeah, he doesn't string Guja along. He's very he's very frank about what their relationship is.
Yeah,
there were a few moments where it was like that feels closer than friends, but like if they grew up together,
and that's because it's complicated, and like that part's fair. I respect that would be there,
and especially for like a dude who had feelings for this woman, put himself on the line, maintained a friendship with her afterwards. You know, he's...
Of course it's hard to shut it all the way off. You know where the line should be.
His relationship with his fiancé is the part where I'm a little bit... That's where I have my problems with him, because he's kind of a dick.
But... Is he a dick, or is it just they're like, it's gross because she's a child, and he's like, I won't protect this delicate, innocent flower,
right?
Like, what? This is not a relationship an adult has with an adult. But he's never psychologically abusive to her the way Dermot Mulroney is to Cameron Diaz.
One of the plot points in this one, which it does share with the original one, was the bride's father wants the new son-in-law to take over in the business or whatever. But the way it was handled in this one, it never felt like, oh yeah, you're going to do this. Quit your job. It felt like, hey, we would like it if this happened. And then he does get kind of like, nope, wedding's off. Forget it. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, it's definitely a baby
like,
freak
whoa,
out.
Where'd this come from?
I really liked in this movie how she had nothing... to do with it, you know, she was just like coming in to observe and see everything that happened in it from outsiders' perspective, like what was happening with him and his fiance and the family and those dynamics. I like, rather than in the American version, Julia Roberts sends an email. And,
she really facilitates it.
Yeah.
But she like feeds the thing that's kind of already there, and. It sort of has Guja trying to do the same thing, like being the go-between and like talking them through their argument and tweaking things on each end and make it not work for them. But it's kind of toothless. Like, it's not a well-thought-out plan. I'd rather you were evil, scheming, sending emails, because this is just sort of half-hearted. And that's okay if she doesn't know what she wants, but... As I'm watching the movie.
But she had said she's here to be the bride, so she needs to do it. If she's going to do it, she needs to do it.
Just do it.
When she does make her big villainous move... it is a huge villainous move. She cancels the wedding.
Well, she
doesn't intend to cancel the wedding. That part kind of makes me real mad.
She passively lets...
Yeah. She's just like, I need a few more days to work on this.
Okay, here's the other huge problem with this movie. Oh, maybe we shouldn't just go back to it. Okay, tell us the bad thing.
Oh, no, that... Well, I wasn't going to say a bad thing. I was motioning to Laura because I'm like, I think this might tie into Laura's big problem with the movie.
Oh, yeah, Nick is my biggest problem.
They've ruined George.
Yeah, like Rupert Everett needs to be in this movie.
But also not Nick. Yeah. Because Rupert Everett is the voice of reason. He's the intelligent adult in the room who's like, don't do this.
Nick is his accomplice.
Nick is saying, like,
he's the devil on her shoulder. And she needs the angel.
And that's where I'm wondering if there were some translation problems or, like, not problems, but differences from the movie in Chinese from translated to American.
But even if you just take it on a very straightforward plot problem and not like on an individual, like what is this character trying to say in between the lines, if you just take it like what is the character motivations in each step of the plot, what the fuck is Nick's deal?
Yeah.
Like, he's presented, like, we're not entirely sure, like, if he's just there because he likes chaos and he's just screwing everything up.
Chaos.
Or if we're not sure.
Did you say an Asian of chaos?
Half Asian of chaos.
Eurasian of chaos?
This is weirdly important. We don't know if he is gay or straight.
No.
Yeah, it's not real clear.
Yeah,
he
no.
identifies himself as, but in one, like, potentially joking scene.
He feels like he is presented as the very handsome love interest for Guja. Why is he trying to help her break up a wedding? Like, it's just it doesn't make any fucking sense.
And there was... Oh, you go.
I was refresh my memory. He was he there when she... No, when she called the assistant to have the cathedral?
He was there.
He was there. Okay.
Yeah.
So he...
And tells the assistant to postpone it.
Oh.
And he turns around and cancels it.
And then they ask him, what's your name? And he goes, Nick.
Yeah, like, what?
Nick is the worst evil accomplice.
And also part of that's on the cathedral. Because, like, they're like, oh, hey, some guy named Nick. Oh, is that the groom's name? I don't know. Just some guy named Nick. He wants to cancel this wedding. Okay, it's off.
That feels like a writing thing, because you could fix that by having Lin Ron go, it's interesting that I called the cathedral and they said I had called to cancel the wedding.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, did you have Nick put like that?
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
But someone named Nick canceled the wedding.
Yeah.
Some guy.
What? And also, it's I have a lot of issues just logistically with the amount of planning that's going on the week before the wedding. But, I mean, there's the cake, there's the flowers.
Maybe that's why the cathedral, like, they just planned this wedding 4 days ago. So, yeah, of course they're canceling it. Of course they had a guy call and cancel it.
Oh, Nick. There's a hot minute when he showed up on the plane that I was really hoping that this was going to turn into Chinese French kiss. And that, like, he was going to be obnoxious and they were ultimately going to be the romantic coupling. But
instead, he was just obnoxious.
He was just obnoxious.
Yeah, and then there's a weird scene where, so in the plane, Guja goes off and she's, talking to herself about how she dislikes her friend and how could he do this to her. And then later on in the movie, she goes into a bar because she's upset at something else, that Lin Ron did. And he hides under the counter, which is such a strange reaction. Like, I don't think we would see that.
It's
like
that crazy woman.
I don't know. Like, why would
physically restrained?
Why would he not want to see her? Like, why would he just not pay attention to her? Like, he doesn't have to pay. And then he pops up and he's like talking to her and really interested in her. And I'm like, I don't get it.
If he's the demonic agent of chaos that we're assuming he is, he should be like, yes, she's here, more to feed on. I'm so excited.
Maybe he was waiting for his opportunity, but he doesn't. He steps in and helps, actually.
Yeah, as she freaks out at someone else cheating on his girlfriend.
I want to say...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Which was a legitimately funny part, yeah.
They cut out a couple extra frames at the very end of the movie, because the movie ends with Guja and Nick reuniting at the wedding. And then they cut out the frame where he pulls out a box of matches and then it cuts to black.
I would appreciate that so much. Because the ending makes no sense. Besides the, cathedral got canceled 6 hours ago. Wedding's ruined. There's nothing to do. Wait, I saved your wedding. I found a venue. It's in Milan. Ready to go tomorrow. Let's ship everyone.
Everyone's going to fly.
She's a very powerful woman with connections.
So, we'll all get
and all the guests don't have anything else to do.
Just so we can have that spot where we, you told me you loved me. And
can't you just tell him in the back room now, save the money and trouble? Don't set up the magic fairy tale wedding that is then going to be exploded.
And also, it's a beautiful spot that means something to those two, not the bride and groom.
Weirdly, that feels less gross than playing The Way You Look Tonight at the wedding. I know it's a bigger gesture. Here's the big moment. Here's the big location of our friendship, and why don't you get married here? But it does feel like let's recontextualize the place for something for you. Okay. I don't. Yes, but also I don't. Am I nuts? That felt, because I was like, this is the equivalent of Julia Roberts cueing the band to play The Way You Look Tonight.
But it's still about her.
But it's still before this final move, and I still feel like that makes it problematic. If she had resigned herself, Like, yeah, if that was after she'd been shut down, she's like, you know what, this is going to be the thing, fine. But no, it was still her, like, part of her last-ditch effort. Her overly complicated, overly expensive, weird-ditch effort.
I also like how she says, like, she had the flashback to that thing, and she's like, I found the perfect spot. Like, you didn't do anything. You didn't call to make sure it was available. You just had a flashback. I would have loved to have been like, she just gets off the phone and she's like, yeah, they were booked. It was a really good idea. It would have been beautiful. They're booked that day. Sorry.
But don't worry, guys. Turns out there's tons of places in London you can have a wedding.
There's beautiful places that aren't directly connected to your relationship with the groom.
That aren't 2-hour flight away.
That too.
The lead actress, Chi, is really, like, she's great. She's really fun in this movie.
Yeah.
The way she plays that her big confrontation with Jean is we sound so, like, it dawned on me while you were when Sam was talking about our main character's name, and we were all just like shouting out names like Guja, Shuchi, Tutu. It sounded like we were being super racist, but those are all actually like character and actress names.
By the way, you pronounced her name. Say you pronounce her name, Loren.
Which one?
Our main character.
Guja.
How do you pronounce it?
Guja?
It's slightly different, but when I was reading it, I was thinking Gojira. And I didn't think it was, what's his name?
No, that is offensive.
Kin Watanabe in Godzilla. Gojira. I'm like, is she going to turn giant and just ruin this wedding?
The way Guja, like, her tone in that confrontation with Jean at the end is weird. Like, she's so just, like, detached and fuck you to Jean during that.
And she's not
scene.
smoothing it over.
Jean-Jean's
She's not
reaction to it is over the top.
over the top too.
You know, it's like not a big deal. Like, he denies her.
Yeah,
like,
whatever she saw. If she just walked in on a hug, overreaction. If she was there for any part of the conversation, she heard him say,
exactly.
no,
yeah,
this is not
I
what
don't
want.
love you. This is not what I want. So, like, why was that even a thing? Like, I felt like
because it happened in the original movie. So
also, I mean, she's decided to put her trust. To trust this woman, you know,
who's been mean to her for the past week.
Well,
there's no point
mean.
where she tries to like ingratiate herself to
like this was true in the first one too. There is like an Asperger's level of not reading cues. Like, this woman does not like you, and she loves your fiance, and you're like, cool.
And that's maybe. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's a little bit more effort on Julia Roberts to like try to pretend she's being nice, even though it's real fake. But she's trying.
And I think
Guja does not try.
The turn with Kimmy at the end of the American My Best Friend's Wedding is she kind of lets on like, yeah, you've been an asshole to me this whole time, and I've been playing along. Jean just she's consistently she's in the exact same character she's been the whole time, which is to say she like stomps her feet and like whines like a teenage girl about how, but like I understand that because she has, if you take it on a plot level, she has decided to trust this woman who she thinks is trying to steal her fiance, and her fears are actualized, and like, yeah, that's upsetting. She's like, I've let you become a major part of our wedding party, and you fucking asshole, like the day of the wedding, you have made a move on my fiance. Like, I get that. It's unpleasant to watch.
Yeah.
But
there was a part, what was that? There was a party, I don't know if it was like, what was it called?
Are you talking about the fancy soccer party?
Yeah, where they just ended up having a commercial in the movie, in the middle of a commercial for Nike or something. I don't know.
Okay, I think this must be a Chinese thing where like you're required to fit in a football game wherever you can in a film, and like just have a football break for fun.
But was it the what's it called? What the hell's that term I'm looking for?
I think a rehearsal dinner. But
thing?
It's not that. It's because we're still 2 days out from the wedding or so.
No, it's a reception for the soccer party.
And there's like, they show up fancy dress, and Nick is my fake boyfriend at this event, and he pops into the soccer game
with full uniform. They all have uniforms.
And then there's fancy dinner afterwards.
I really want to know how Nick and Guja decide that he's going to be her date.
What is this plan?
Their concoction with the plan.
Why was he there?
Yeah. I really think he's Satan. Like
there could have a bit of like, okay, I'll go show off and like make him jealous, but then he gives up the game in the end, and like when they're in
it says I'm gay.
Yeah, and also Lin Ron's concern is much more reasonable than in Dermot Mulroney's version, where he's just straight up jealous. With this, it's a bit like, of course Lin Ron is worried. This is a man that you just met 3 days ago by your own admission, and like you're talking marriage. I'm concerned as a friend. Just carrying on how great Lin Ron is. Like, he's a good person. And that's the point where they give it up, and he's like, newsflash, darling, I'm gay. We'll stop messing with you. He is a Loki-esque agent of chaos. He just wants to watch the world burn.
Along with Lin Ron being like a good person, he's like, are you, Nick is just like, well, what, are you homophobic? He's like, no, I'm like I'm super cool with this. Like immediately he shifts into like...
Get your hand back on my ass.
Yeah, he puts his hand back on
It's fine, it's fine.
and gets in trouble with the priest.
I'm very secure. Oh, sorry, Father.
Which is why they canceled the wedding.
Ooh, that's a twist.
Nick has the perfunctory... It makes me think, I'm going to make an assumption that like perhaps the thing that My Best Friend's Wedding is known for overseas is the musical number.
Yes.
Because Nick has the perfunctory, like, I'm going to sing Say a Little Prayer, even though this makes no sense in the plot.
I was wondering if was the original one big in China?
I have no idea.
Because that's what it feels like. It's like, this is a big movie, and because they changed enough of it too, that it's like, we don't want people don't want to see the original one, but they want something tying it back to the original one. And I have to admit, as soon as I started singing it, I'm like, yes! And I was clapping, I'm like, yeah, this is so exciting.
And then everyone in the room, including Kuja, is super into it. And then he just sings like a happy verse and then ends. And then we're done. Oh, no, we go to the cathedral and the choir singing it for some reason.
Why was the choir singing it?
That's
weird. Not a church song.
It deals with prayer. Of course it's a church song.
When the choir was singing it, I was real upset. Like, what's happening now? Did he move the party to the church and set up the choir to do it? Why is this happening?
Like, how in the original it broke out in the middle of a restaurant? This one, it takes the whole country by storm. Like,
but no, it's just a diegetic touch to the film that made me mad.
It's an interesting transition.
What is this?
What do you love about it, Laura? Oh, sorry.
What do I love about the original or the...
This one. There's nothing to love about the original. I'm just kidding. If anything, watching this really made me, like, not appreciate the original, but, like, appreciate what's good about the original. Because there are good things.
I mean, I just liked... I liked the sort of whimsical aspect of the movie. It was just, like, kind of, like... Of course, nothing seems grounded in reality. Like, oh, she has this beautiful apartment, and she's an editor-in-chief, and, of course, she doesn't seem old enough to have any of this, but yet, here she is, and she's, going off and doing all these things, and she has a perfect life, and then, except, and then her best friend is this nice looking guy who's, also very successful in his own right, and they've had, really good times, adventures to different countries, and, and then she goes over there and he's got this really nice place, like anyone would want, staying in London. I want that place.
Yeah. They have cakes with candy in them.
If I can be shallow for a moment, I'm a heterosexual man.
That's not shallow.
It's really hard for you guys.
Is Lin Ron an attractive man? Is he not?
Is
There's
Peter
something about him that does not feel conventionally attractive.
I can see that. I agree with that. He's no like Nick
he's
from
no Nick.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, right. Nick is like a beautiful man.
God.
Yeah. And there's something there's a moment that's amazing to me.
Why are my ankles?
And I think it's
why
because
is the floor all wet?
Bobby.
Sorry. It happened again. I'm a heterosexual man. And and I think it's because I'm very attuned to like, mainstream Hollywood movies. There's a scene where there's a whole sequence where Guja's talking to Lin Ron, and he is lifting weights and like working out, and he does not have a particularly impressive body,
a regular body,
and it's not played for jokes, and you're just like watching this going, this is interesting, because I don't think I've ever seen in a movie where like just your like average Joe character is just casually working out while someone's talking. It's usually played for laughs or because Chris Evans is working out.
And he wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't male gazy at all. Yeah. There wasn't even the moment of like, oh, good job. It's like, hey, oh no.
I wanted him to stand up and go like, well, I decided to start lifting weights.
See, my impression of that scene was like, wow, he's pretty ripped.
He didn't look bad.
I mean, I guess he's
No,
not
not at all.
not like, steroids ripped, but like
yeah.
someone who does work out, and then, like, it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe that was just like supposed to be funny, that he was like in the middle of a conversation, he's pumping iron, he's running on the treadmill.
Guys, when they're angry, they have to go pump iron and just work it out.
And he's never been angry before.
I can't hit women anymore, so I have to go work out.
Because who else is going to protect her if I'm not strong, if I'm not ripped?
I have to be strong so I can protect her. This delicate little flower I'm marrying.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I did have, at the very end of the movie, after the wedding, I mean, I guess she's the star and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I want it to be just about, like, okay, in my best friend's wedding, they got married, went off. The movie ended on her and Rupert Everett popping up. Mm-hmm. But in this one, it's in the wedding ended up making it about her, and I don't like. Yeah. I really didn't like that.
Where like he takes the bouquet and walks it to her and says, "Don't worry."
What he says to her, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I forget it. No, but please, I forget the wording exactly.
Yeah, but he says something to the effect of like, "Don't worry, you will find happiness," or something like that.
Trust me.
Yeah, that's what he says. Trust me, and it is a very beautiful sentiment for him to say that.
Yeah.
But there is something kind of awkward about the seas parting at the wedding for him to, like, do this
in front of everyone who doesn't quite know what's happening, but, there's a lot of emotional baggage to the scene.
I would be so pissed if I were the bride or her parents.
I
if
kind of get it because... it's like this goodbye that they have after the wedding.
It's a nice
it's like
scene.
There's this whole build up and, tension of whether or not they're going to get together. And then, they don't after. And then, so in the American version, you have Dermot Mulroney's character. What's his name in the movie?
Garbage Michael.
Michael. Michael going up to her and saying goodbye, which is a really sweet scene. She's looking for him in the crowds trying to say goodbye, and he just comes up and hugs her, and that's a really nice...
It's also later in the reception as
It's the reception. This was the end of the ceremony.
Yeah, they just got married. They walk to the back of the room, and, he takes the bouquet from his pathetic wife, and, in front of everyone hands it to her. I appreciate that they had that moment, but it was, a bit of a...
maybe they just don't have receptions, and...
In maybe they didn't have
in Western culture.
It's
a long.
Yeah, maybe they don't have it. I don't know.
It's a beautiful sentiment. Just that execution's a little weird.
I also really appreciate. Well, there's different levels of So when Guja chases Chuan down and lets her know I was trying to sabotage you, but you're saying she's real detached and she doesn't really apologize. No. Julia Roberts has the you're right. I was doing that. I was crap, and I'm sorry about that because he chose you, and now I'll get behind that and I'll support you and help make your wedding happen.
It comes off as a villain speech.
It's kind of a villain speech.
She paces around her.
A little bit, you don't deserve to be at the wedding.
You caught me monologuing.
But at the very least, I'm glad she was demoted at the wedding. I'm glad we got back after that, and she wasn't best man. She was just in a normal dress she pulled out of nowhere, and
instead of being in that suit like she was in, she got to be in a gorgeous dress and actually be a beautiful woman.
She rocked that tux.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. I hate her.
She did, sure.
But at least it was the acknowledgement of you did do a bad thing, so maybe you don't stand in front of all our family. You don't get to be in the wedding
to
support our union. I was appreciating that she got a demotion.
Any other big plot points we want to talk about?
Oh, golly.
I don't... My problem with... aside from all the other problems with Nick, I think it is important in both the original and in this one. I don't know that it is this way in this one. I think she needs to stand alone at the end. I think it's important for her to give up her best friend, not because there's a hot dude waiting for her on the other side, but because she is... She finds self-worth in a way, I think that's important, and I don't love that perhaps Nick is there to be her hot rebound afterwards. The movie never totally commits to it or makes it...
I feel that's fair. The movie that we really still don't know. I think I was sort of taking just the surface level of okay, maybe he is gay, or he doesn't feel like he's romantically aggressively after her. He just feels like he's, a demon here to ruin everything. So it made it extra.
That's true.
But it did make it extra why are you here? Why did you fly to Milan last minute to support this woman?
But there is that weird scene at the beginning when he's walking to the sea and he sees her and he goes, yes,
Oh, yeah,
at the very beginning.
It's my lucky day.
So that's why I'm I don't think he is gay.
I don't know that. That makes it all the worse.
Or he's a demon and he's train wreck. My lucky day.
This is someone I can imagine.
I like that reading. I'm going to go with that one.
But
and
yes,
we even follow him walking past them outside the airport while
for,
she's meeting
for
Jean.
way too long.
Yeah.
He
That's
was right
true.
there. Yeah.
Well, he wanted to see what he could possibly
That's true.
get up to mischief-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, they really should have. That's amazing.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Why aren't we looking at that aspect?
That is right.
That is interesting though, because you are right. Like there isn't really a romantic chemistry between Nick and Guja, but I just assume it should be there because they are both like the attractive.
Yeah.
They're the breeding pair.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone should be mating, it's those two.
Yeah.
Because my gosh.
All right. Anything else before we move on to verdicts? Laura?
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna finish saying, yeah, I don't know. There's something about that story, I guess, from the first movie, from the American version, that I just like. It just has a special place in my heart, that movie, despite its problems. And so seeing it with Chinese actors and in Chinese was just kind of fun. And so it just, like, warms my heart just a little bit. And then there are those special scenes, like when they're under the, where they met from when they were younger, and he was telling her, like, that he loved her, and, like, that was just a really sweet scene. And there were a couple of those scenes in the movie.
There are a lot more, like, sweet, nice, like, give yourself a hug kind of scenes in this movie than there are in the other one, which I think is more of a comedy than this one. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Laura, you like the movie?
Overall, yeah. I had problems with it, but I mean, I liked it. It's kind of just a fun, light movie. It's not anything too heavy to watch. It's kind of nice. It's a nice contrast to the American version. So, yeah, I liked it.
How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think when taken on its own, there's a lot to like immediately. And I think as far as like the pacing, it kind of loses itself a little bit in the middle. But I had a lot of fun, if for no other reason. It's fun to watch an adaptation that you didn't know existed of something else. But I think it's a good movie. I liked it. Yeah.
I'm gonna agree. It was fun. You don't need to run out to watch it, especially because you could get it streaming in your home. You don't need to run anywhere. But yeah, it was fun enough, and I feel like I wanted to end on you, Loren, because I feel like you might have the harshest rebuke of it.
I don't think I do. I think that we have pointed out that there's a lot wrong with this movie. I think we can't deny that. It was enjoyable to watch, and somehow I feel like if you're like in for the night, watching both together is the most interesting thing, because it's a real exploration of how the same story can be done different ways and make different mistakes, but then get some things really right. And overall, and I think I want to give kudos to the American version, because ultimately the story that's on the table I really like, of a woman who puts all this value in a man and she can't ultimately have him, but, works past that and like reconciles herself to the woman that she was trying to sabotage, and like ends up somewhere valuable there, and like becomes a stronger person on the other side of that, is a great story. And I think Julia Roberts is a better version of this one, where otherwise Go-Jung gets with maybe gay, maybe not Loki Nick. But either way, I like, a woman who's able to explore her power of being evil and good all in one.
I wonder too, maybe part of my hesitation on totally condemning the things that were bad about this, I wonder how much of this cultural and just like things we're not getting.
Or maybe these are conventions that, this is normal. Why? It's not a problem for us.
I wonder how...
A lot of my problems with Lin Ron, I feel, are probably cultural.
Right.
Like the protecting part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder how, does anyone, maybe somebody's done some research, how this movie did critically and or financially in China.
I did actually pull it up on Wikipedia, so I was going to... Hold up.
But yeah, just because...
In the Asian markets. Oh. Sorry.
The Asian markets, which are so important these days.
I did, before we watched, I read a quote from the filmmaker that I thought was interesting, where he's like, we have to be more aware, in adapting this, there are things we had to pay attention with the Chinese market that they wouldn't be as receptive of. And he singled out, he goes, the Chinese market's view of adultery is very different than the Americans' view of adultery.
Oh my god.
And I laughed, but I'm also like, fuck you, buddy.
We mentioned that in the car on the way over here too, and well, first of all, adultery did not happen.
No.
And also,
Okay, here it is.
I don't know what I was going to say. If it did it come, I'd say it came closer because it definitely came closer in the American version.
Yeah, and I guess that's how much of the Michael, the Dermot Mulroney character, you read as being intentional as far as like leading on or like Julia Roberts jokes about.
This is really interesting. I just came across an article that said, "Here's how my best friend's wedding almost ended, but audiences hated it." So
We read
it
that.
The American
almost,
one?
yeah, the American one.
We read that in
And,
the car on the way over.
she almost Julia Roberts' character almost ended up with John Corbett from Sex and the City. Aiden.
From My Best Friend's Greek wedding.
Yeah, or My Big Fat Greek Wedding too. Also, yeah, I guess in the movie's original
Setting
finale,
up the wedding averse.
Yeah.
Julian
They break
meets
up and he meets Nia.
a handsome stranger, John Corbett, and lives happily ever after.
I'm so glad that.
Oh my god! But I guess the test audience hated it. So.
Good for the
test
test.
on-
Yeah.
The one time the test audience pays off appropriately.
Well, I mean, I did see Long Kiss Goodnight before it opened, and in it they killed off Samuel L. Jackson, and in the final version he lives. So that's another time when it pays off.
You know what's fascinating? I
can't see
test screened the Cameron Crowe film Aloha.
Oh,
And that was part of the Sony hacks. And so I was reading these hacked emails about the test screenings for Aloha and how poor of a reception it got, like regional, like in the 2 different regions. And I'm like, they're talking about me.
Did you see her quotes? Like, this movie is a dumpster
No,
fire.
but it felt good to know I wasn't like fucking insane in that theater. I'm like, what did I just... It was really awkward too. Cameron Crowe was like 3 rows in front of me. And I'm like...
by the way, sometimes you have to say goodbye before you can say hello.
There's that movie, by the way, that very quickly started with a nonsensical scene where the main character played by Bradley Cooper, dies at the beginning. He blows up in like Afghanistan, and then we cut to his funeral. His brother's played by Jay Baruchel, and Danny McBride is his best friend. And there's a funeral scene, and then they find out during the funeral that he actually didn't die. He's still alive. Shuffle those characters off. We never see them again. The movie starts. He's flying to Hawaii, and I remember writing like, what the fuck was that about? And then from what I can read in Wikipedia, I haven't watched the movie again, but in Wikipedia, it sounds like they completely cut that scene out.
By the way, I had a similar like really feeling of vindication was in when I saw Long Kiss Goodnight. In my notes, I did put something like, "You never kill off Samuel L. Jackson."
They really listen to you.
So I put that on me, and then like I don't know how many years later, I saw Deep Blue Sea where they killed off Samuel L. Jackson. I'll let you finish in a sec, and it was amazing.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I've actually let her start because I was the one finishing.
Reclaim your time, Laura. Let's hear it.
Oh my god, this is so good. So this article, Chinese remakes of American films, especially romantic comedies, have not had a great tail run. Only You, I guess they did it with 2 actors whose names I do not want to pronounce.
We have to do this one now.
And Even the Great, and then 2 more actors, couldn't stop What Women Want from just existing. I mean, we're now in the 3rd round, and the champ's not looking so good. Oh, they don't like the movie. But anyway, we had to do Only You.
Because they think Nick is ridiculous.
And that actually does put a big hole in the theory that, like, oh, the problems are cultural. Like, no.
They're just not doing these very well.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, but yeah, Only You. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Do they still end up in Italy?
This is a whole series.
I don't know.
This is how
Chinese romantic comedy adaptations.
Did they do a Chinese remake of Spring Breakers?
Also, I really want to see Chinese French Kiss. Like, I referenced it before. I think that'd be amazing. I want to see it.
We've been talking about how
Chinese Kiss?
Yeah.
We've been talking about how, like, we're running out of movies, guys. This is how we keep things going.
International adaptations of our films.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that Anakin Skywalker was a teenager in the Chinese version of Phantom Menace?
Okay, so let's talk. We kind of like that movie, but still, let's talk about the movie we wish we'd seen.
Ugh, this movie is crap.
I could write a better movie in my sleep.
And now, IDOBM presents the movie we'd wish we'd seen.
where we take an aspect of this and sequel, prequel. You've heard it all before. Man, you know what I just realized I forgot to do? My introduction to what the podcast is. Guys, this is In Defense of Bad Movies. It's a podcast where we take a movie that is generally regarded as bad, and one of us likes it. And you might think, you guys sitting here, that I'm going to edit that and put it back in the beginning, but no. This is where it stays.
This is like our Memento episode.
Yeah. You got to put it together, guys. So let's go to Loren.
I want to see the talented Mr. Ripley style story of the film from Nick's point of view. Just this sociopath moving through the world and how he like gets himself into Guja's life and like his evil master plan. And once he passed the wedding, when he murders her or whatever his scheme is, we don't know what it is. I can't wait to see it.
I could see just like at the end, she's like, well, I don't have him, but I've got this guy who's perfectly fine right here. And he just laughs and walks away. Like, you're on your own, bitch. How about you, Bobby?
I was recently charmed by a Netflix rom-com called Set It Up.
Oh God, this movie is awful. Do not watch it. Do not watch it.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It stars Lee Sealer and Taye Diggs. But it is about...
Interesting.
It is about...
No, they're not even the main ones. It's like two
Let me
others.
get to it. So it's about two... it is about the assistants of two, very high-powered career professionals who are trying to set their bosses up. And then, in the process, the two assistants fall in love because it is a romantic comedy.
Of course.
I would love to watch a Chinese romantic comedy remake of Set It Up, but I would love for it to be about the Guja's assistant. And I want, like, this big cinematic universe of Chinese remakes of American romantic comedies that all take place in the same universe. So I would like to see a Chinese Set It Up about Guja's assistant.
I have two conceivable ones I might want to do. One, which is every major culture's version of My Best Friend's Wedding. And just, like, to see...
Just becomes the Rosetta Stone of films. Like, what can we learn about everyone?
It's a fascinating exercise.
It is. And then another one would be, you mentioned her assistant, who's on her own doing Fashion Week. I want to see the train wreck that becomes, or if she does pull this out and, like, have some sort of situation where she does totally screw things up, but they're like, oh, this is the great Juja. She's amazing. Whatever.
She starts posing as her boss. Like, this is going to hit the fan at some point.
Right. That's what I want.
But we don't talk about it.
That's right.
It ends with Guja coming home.
And with no career.
Yep. I'm no longer editor-in-chief of the
I am
fashion
Guja now.
And somehow, like, Nick planned that as well. Somehow he was on the phone with the assistant, like, telling her what to say.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
It's the whole Nick verse.
And we find out that, like, she cut Nick off in traffic once and he's a Romani. And, like...
This is we have to make this movie. How about you, Laura? What is the movie you wish you'd seen?
I really want to see this movie with Nick as imaginary, but she can only see him.
I was thinking that earlier.
So he's not actually there, but she thinks he's there. So like she goes to this reception and she's talking to somebody.
She's watching affectionately at the stage.
Like it.
For a moment, I actually earlier was thinking like, is there a chance he could be imaginary? And I'm like, no. There was that whole cathedral scene.
Nick is just her Tyler Durden, and he's the one that does all the horrible things.
Yes.
We're all beaming at this idea.
Can we watch a Chinese remake of Fight Club, but with those two actors?
Let's do it. Let's make this movie, guys. Oh, by the way, China, if you want to make this movie, we will happily be in it. We'll just make appearances.
Yes.
And you're welcome, by the way. Okay. Now, we haven't done this in a while, for obvious reasons.
Oh no.
This is the time when we do...
Oh gosh.
Bobby and Laura discuss gender politics about the movie we just watched.
Susan B. Anthony was on the dollar coin for a reason.
Stop objectifying me.
Gloria Steinem.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Equal rights amendment was never ratified.
Rosie the Riveter.
Oh my god, Bobby, shut up.
Rosie the Robot.
Who's gonna make me my sandwich?
My body, my choice.
Blatant. Susan B. Anthony was taken off the dollar for a reason.
Beyonce.
It was fine.
Yeah, I think it was good because it didn't really show females and it didn't really exploit females. It exploited them in the male characters, which I'm fine with. Totally fine with seeing them in the buff. No, I mean there's kind of Bobby hit upon it a little bit about how there's this sort of like demeaning way that Lin-Ron talks to his fiancé Juju. And it's like he needs to protect her, and then she's also very airy and like she doesn't have a lot of depth to her character as far as we can tell. Maybe in Chinese it's different. Maybe the translation isn't quite as good as it.
That's fair.
So I mean, but mostly I was fine with it. I mean, I wasn't bothered by it.
Well, let me tell you why you, a woman, are wrong. No, I'm joking. But I actually found this movie like fairly problematic. I don't. Yes, the women weren't like objectified as they would be maybe in a mainstream Hollywood film. But I think there's like the patriarchy is very real in this movie. And like Lin-Ron, as much as I want to like him, he is very much representative of like this very patriarchal structure of what a family should be.
But then you have what's her name? Why can't I think of her name?
He cannot stop.
Gujira, who's in a very high profile job.
Right.
And she's independent too.
She is constantly reminded by her best friend that like her ovaries are drying up and that she's going to have a hard time finding a man.
And
she never gets to tell him to fuck off.
But I think that might be translation problem too. I don't know.
Maybe, but I think the idea would inherently be there. Like maybe he's not sitting there going like, the older you get, the less appealing you'll be. Like maybe it doesn't come off as that in a better translation, but he is definitely saying like, you're getting older, so like why don't you just like settle down with a man? Look at all these men in the party. You should go for one of them. They're very stable. They will be able to protect you. Like I think there's certain things where like, yes, him pacing in the subway, talking about how he can't
subway. What the hell is a subway? Where's he pacing the subway?
Or in the what's it called?
There's an underground.
The tube.
Remember when he was standing too close to the
him pacing around and saying, like I can't protect her. I can't give her everything she wants. Like that, you can imagine where a translation might fail that moment. What he's essentially saying there is just like, I want to give this person I love everything, and I messed up. But I still think there's something very problematic about his worldview, even if it is cultural. I'm still going to like straighten my back in because I'm a cool progressive half white ally cishet heterosexual male. I'm going to be like, no, I can't stand in judgment of your culture.
Wow. Yeah, Bobby basically just said he doesn't like Chinese.
So that's why you're wrong anyway.
No.
Oh man, I missed this segment. And actually, I put so much work into that theme song that I'm just glad we get to use it again.
I've got the
I'm so pleased.
All right, well, let's get away from this movie right now, and let's just talk about things that need no defense, just like whatever we're into these days. Who wants to start? Okay, I'll start, since you guys aren't champing at the bit. I'm using the correct words. So this is 4 years old, so a lot of people are going to know about it already. But there was a Cartoon Network. It was a short, limited series, 10 episodes, called Over the Garden Wall, which is amazing. And Loren and I watched it. I think I'm kind of stealing her.
No, you're okay.
We
agreed.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, it's a super fun show. They're 10 to 11 minute episodes, so it's real short, low commitment, and just super fun. The animation's great. It does homages to different animations in the past and different things like that. The stories are fun. The characters are great. Yeah. Anything else I'm missing, Loren?
No.
Just plugging this. Yeah, it's super fun. It's on Hulu. You can just watch them and enjoy them, and just like, yeah, have fun, guys. It'll subvert expectations, and It'll take you on wondrous journeys and things. Yeah, just go enjoy it. What's next?
Hard pass.
What is Hard Pass? Is that like a new movie that you saw?
Yeah. Jason Statham.
That was 100% a name of a Jason. It would be a Jason Statham movie.
Mine is not like a piece of media or anything. It is just an idea. Right now, with our political climate, we are...
Which is good, right?
It's great. Guys, our political health has never been better. But right now, we are in the middle of potentially a bunch of recounts. We just had an election. And it is stressful.
Hey, I got an idea. How about instead of recounts, just count? Because they're not even doing that. They're not letting people's votes count.
Yes. And
anyway.
we are getting, it is like a repeat of the year 2000 where suddenly recounts are very political, even though they shouldn't be, because I mean, the idea is you just want an accurate count of everyone's votes. So you hear that in Marco Rubio and Rick Scott and Donald Trump, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But what I am saying, an idea that I feel needs no defense, is after our elections, why don't we wait a week before we announce the winners? Now, during elections, we tune into cable news where it is like a boxing match, and we are sitting by scoreboards and we are waiting for district by district to come in, and it is not healthy and it is not accurate. So why don't we just all take a deep breath, and then, I mean, yes, full transparency into our vote counting process, but why don't we not announce winners until a week later, so that way our president doesn't have to throw a temper tantrum because he thinks that votes are being stolen from him when, they're just being counted. That's all. So.
Oh man, if I had to wait a week to find out.
It would be I want to be clear. It would be the worst week of our lives. We should probably make that entire week a national holiday so we could just...
We would need to take it off and go do something else.
Remember how hard it was just to get people to stop announcing results before the polls had closed?
Yeah.
That was...
And I'm not one to talk because on election night, I sat glued to my TV, a nervous wreck, refreshing 538 on my phone, and like biting my nails as Wolf Blitzer told me.
Telling me like, oh my god, now the chances of the House are this and this. They're putting up this and this.
538 to drop to 1 and 2 at one point for Democrats retaking the House, and I almost cried.
I could not
Why
do
did you
it.
do it?
Yeah, don't do that to yourself.
No, that's a stupid idea, and I'm saying as someone who's guilty of it, as someone who was who was at the edge of my seat while Wolf Blitzer said, in about 10 minutes, we're about to get in a whole new slew of votes. Stupid. Let's not do that. Let's pause. Let's take a breath and then wait until all the votes are counted before we announce. I would be really bummed out if I was in Arizona and I was a Republican who had voted for Martha McSally, and now Kirsten Sinema is their brand new senator. I would be sad, but they never had to deal with that sadness if we had just waited until all the votes were counted. So
I had a coworker who was weeks before the election were telling me what was projected. I'm like, just don't leave me alone about it.
I am not one to talk because I totally fall into that trap. You know, I'm like.
Yeah,
Beto's
I'm
winning.
sad.
At one point, I'm like, Beto's ahead. Beto's never ahead because we were just literally counting all the votes. You know?
Yeah.
That was
How about you, Lauren? Or I'll let Laura go last because she's our special guest. How about you, Lauren?
Oh, that's really sweet. But I've been sitting over here trying to figure out what I was going to do.
You've had so long.
But then I listened to Bobby's impassioned speech and it got distracting.
And he stole yours.
I know. I guess for the LA area, I would like to recommend the Celebration Theater. I mentioned their production of Cabaret once before in my recommends. They are just a tiny, less than 99-seat theater up in Hollywood, but they do just amazing productions for their limitations of the space. The Cabaret was great. They did a Priscilla Queen of the Desert that was extremely creative in its set design and, fitting everything in this little space. And just yesterday we went to see their 30-minute musicals, which were just, fun comedic little romps, doing The Crucible and Die Hard, which obviously you will agree lend themselves really easily to musicals.
And they're so connected to each other.
Yeah, of course. But it was delightful and they were good and it was talented people just being silly. And I'm excited about them. Can't wait to see what their next production is going to be. And I would really recommend because the theater world in LA can be rough. And so finding somewhere good to support feels right. And I would recommend people check them out.
Yeah, I didn't see Priscilla, but I saw the other two, and yeah, I was blown away by Cabaret. That was really good, and the one we saw last night, the 30-minute musicals, was also quite good. Good times. Now, Laura,
mine actually kind of ties into the theme of tonight, and I just recently started watching Homecoming, which is an Amazon show. And it stars Julia Roberts, and also her boyfriend on the show is played by Dermot Mulroney.
Garbage.
Well, Loren's out.
And yeah, so basically it's a like a long drawn out sequel from My Best Friend's Wedding. Just kidding. It doesn't have anything to do with My Best Friend's Wedding, but it's kind of fun to see this two together again. But yeah, it's from the director of Mr. Robot, Sam Esmail. And he, they're only half-hour episodes, so that makes it's unusual for a drama to only be a half hour, but it's interesting, you know, and it's kind of this thriller, and so far, I don't know that much about it, but it started off as a podcast, and it starred a lot of famous people in it, and now it's starring Julia Roberts, Stephen James, who's really great. I don't know him from. I guess he was in Selma, but I haven't seen that yet.
Played John Lewis in Selma.
Yeah, and just a bunch of other people, but it's really interesting. Shea Wiggum's in it too. He's great. Bobby Cannavale's in it. He's great. So yeah, so far I'm just really intrigued by it, and it does a little flash forward. If you like Mr. Robot, you'll definitely kind of dig the style. So, yeah.
Awesome. I enjoyed the podcast, so I'll have to check out the show.
Yeah.
Now let's plugs. We usually don't have much to plug. Upperclassmen has a show, our holiday show, December 9th.
Yeah.
At the Long Beach Playhouse. You can get your tickets.
Awesome.
Cool. You can get your tickets from a member, i.e. me.
This is a real plug for Bobby and Laura in the room right now.
Yeah.
Is Ronnie going to be selling tickets?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, I'll buy them from him.
Okay, thank you. Long Beach Place, you can get the tickets online. I don't currently have any other things going on right now, so yeah, check that out. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have another podcast. It's called You're Wrong with Ian and Bobby. We are going to probably rebrand and change the name pretty soon.
What are you going to change it to?
It'll probably be the same feed, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're not already subscribing, subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. So
I'm going to say like and subscribe us and rate us on iTunes. Just because I always forget to do that. And it apparently helps people find things. How about you, ladies?
Nothing going on. Just here to support our men.
Ladies. Is that creepy way I said ladies?
Yes, please don't.
Okay. All right. Anything else before I try my new sign-off? Because I got a new sign-off, too.
Oh, man. Okay.
All right. Are we ready for it?
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Laura, don't be a stranger. We haven't seen you since the last podcast.
I know I have not been back.
Do we need to maintain our shunning policy? I've always thought that was awkward.
I mean, I feel we should.
Oh, okay.
I don't talk to any of our other guests who were...
Can we leave tape running? Can I catch up with Laura then before we
Yeah, this podcast will be 18 hours. You do whatever you need to do. Lauren and I are going to leave.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't really have anything to catch up with Bobby on.
But yeah, if you want to come back on and defend something else, we have an open door policy.
That only you.
Yeah, we have to do only you now, right?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the Chinese version of only you.
Cool. And everyone, thanks for listening. And hey, everyone, don't be dicks. All right, bye.
Bye.
What do you think of my new...
It sounds sexist.
Shit. Okay, back to the drawing board.
It's very anti-male. You're telling people that they can only be female.
Oh, that's... How about back to the drawing board?
Guys, I have great news.
Let's hear it.
Oh my gosh. The Chinese version of Only You is not only on iTunes, available for me to buy, it is $2.
That is a bargain price for what is surely...
That is our cliffhanger teaser.
Oh, we're still recording.
We are still recording. I can edit some of this out, but I think I am going to leave some of that in.